Thanks, James. So I just wanted to get an idea of the audience. How many of you are parents? Great. Teachers? Administrators? Behavior analysts? Cool. SLPs? Okay, great mix here. So I got into telehealth because of Gemini, actually. I was working for an agency in California, a large agency, overseeing a positive behavior support division in Los Angeles. And I started using Gemini, this about 3 years ago. And I was seeing kids that I had done functional behavior assessments on who were just running around the room prior to watching Gemini. Showed them Gemini for 1 week, and then they were sitting down, responding, giving me eye contact, and it's like, what is going on? I was like, this is very, very interesting. We know that video modeling works, but what is it about Gemini? So I literally quit my job and pursued research full time, and I wanted to see these outcomes comparing Gemini to other methods. I am the BCBA coordinator for Portland State University. We're about to launch our program in the summer, and we have a focus on positive behavior support and technology. So got that piece there. Oh, how many of you are Crimson Tide fans here? Okay. Okay, so you guys win. All right. I just want to say I'm a little humbled here. I've been in Alabama many times, and 10 years ago I got pulled over my Georgia plates, but just wanted to say that, Alabama wins.
Sorry you're losing your coach.
Yeah, thanks. So what are some of these traditional methods we use as teachers, parents? We really present the same concept using a similar visual, and we have lots of repetition through mass trials. We know that this works. And traditionally, we've used flashcards. When I was doing discrete trial 15 years ago, flashcards were a majority of my sessions with kids. So these are some of the traditional methods. Now, this is an article it's hot off the press. It's actually in print. It's printing right now. And this compared discrete video modeling to the standard video modeling. Laura had presented some of the data. And this is really applied science. So I wanted to show you, the article is about to come out. We're seeing 2 times the gains with discrete video modeling compared to standard video modeling. The standard video modeling has music and not really any specific protocol where they present these concepts. And then for the kids with autism, to second graph here, we're seeing 3 times the gains with discrete video modeling. So I'm really excited about this study because it's the first double-blind study, group design, in video modeling in a group setting in schools using video modeling. So this is really, really exciting. So we know that it works for groups in schools. And what are the components of Gemini? We pair the stimuli, we have these peer models. We have this hyperarticulation, which you all saw with the Chinese example. Reduced stimuli, it's always against a white screen. And then providing multiple examples and tons of repetition. And we'll talk a little bit about this tomorrow, but the dosage, we're still kind of trying to find that out. How much is needed? Could be 10 times, 1 time, 100, 1,000, but lots of repetition. We know, just like if we hear a song over and over again, could be playing in the background, we start to know those lyrics. So I gave myself permission to use this photo. We are all teachers, parents, educators, and peers. And DeMarcus, he's just, how cute is he? When he was looking around the room in that study, I mean, it was just amazing to see he was pulling upon all of those social cues. A very important skill that we want to see our kids learn. So I want to ask you all, how does our role change with technology? Personally, what do you guys think? Does it change at all? Any of you teachers use tech in your classes? It's a challenge? Oh, okay. How does our role change with technology? How are we, is it making life easier for us, or is it more difficult because we have to learn the technology?
More options out there.
More options?
But the work is broader than what you can pick from.
More tools.
It's a compliment to the classroom, sorry.
What's that?
I think it's a compliment to the classroom.
There you go.
You're just not having to rely on yourself, you're relying on a lot of other tools and resources.
You nailed it. Absolutely. Compliment to what we're doing. Yeah. Any other thoughts on how our role is changing?
It's constantly changing, unless you keep up with it. As
Yes.
soon as you learn one thing, it's something else is coming up, so you have to continue to learn it because the kids are learning it faster than you can keep up with it, so you can kind of get behind the times.
And it's like we have to stay almost, I mean, we're ahead of the research, right? Because it takes a while to get our publications out. So it is constantly changing on almost like a daily basis. Any other thoughts on how our role is changing? Okay, I like what you said about complementing what we're currently doing. So if what we're doing is already working, let's keep doing it. Let's upgrade our practices and complement what we're doing that's already working to include these more efficient methods, like Laura talked about with the Excel spreadsheet. Doesn't replace CPAs, it just makes their job easier. And it helps us as therapists and teachers to do what we do well. I mean, I'm able to spend an hour teaching the parent how to program for generalization and model throughout the day across settings, as opposed to doing this with a flashcard, doing that discrete trial. And I'm not knocking discrete trial, I'm a behavior analyst. I'm all for the method. It's just, let's do that through a computer. And then we can talk about how we test for that. I actually still use flashcards when I test because I conduct those probes. And that's how we did it in the studies that we're conducting. And we're constantly collecting data, lots of single subject data, all ages. I've seen that this is unbelievable. Over the last 3 years with my telehealth practice, it's just been, I can be at my home and see 8 clients back to back throughout the day, and the outcomes are way better than they were when I was going to the home. Now, this does not replace face-to-face time. You have to have that human-face interaction. Very, very important. I want to make sure that everybody knows. It's just building capacity within the homes and schools and across settings, clinics, wherever the individual that we're working with resides. So we can use video modeling individually. There's my nephew Lucas. He learned how to read with Gemini very quickly. And I was using, does everybody know Teach Your Child to Learn in 100 Easy, or Read in 100 Easy Lessons? I was using that first, and he was just not focused. Then I started him on Gemini, and he is an awesome reader. We can use it in the schools. When I consult on the school system, we set the kids up during their computer time and have individualized programs with Gemini. And then also in a clinic setting. This is our buddy Zach. We'll take a look at him a little bit later. He's has acquired brain injury from a car accident, and he watches in his clinic-based setting. And we also, as you saw, can use this as a group, and now we have data to show that that's statistically significant. So I'm going to talk about 2 young men who have acquired brain injury and take you through their home and their clinic examples. And these young men, they were in therapy for several years before they started Gemini. So here we have David, 25 years old, had an episode of paralysis which lasted 3 weeks at 5.5 years old. He had his last seizure in 1998. This is him watching the Quick Start reading book, and I love this picture because it shows that he is coloring and he's engaging in another activity, but just having it play while he's doing another task, he's still learning. So they don't have to be completely focused on the screen 100% of the time. You're still seeing gains when it's just kind of playing in the background. And he's saying the sounds along with the videos. So after 3 weeks of using Gemini, his mother reported gains with his attending behavior. After 4 weeks, he started pointing, and he receptively identified animals at 100%. Great gains there. And then after 6.5 weeks, he's not very focused, although it appears that he's not very focused, but he's still picking up these skills. Better eye contact, responds when he's called, even if he's in a different room, responds to no repeating when he's asked the same question repeatedly, pointing to pictures on request, making different mouth movements in front of the mirror. I see this all the time. Kids are just looking in the mirror and they're watching their mouth. And SLPs, you use mirrors sometimes? I'm seeing kids initiate this practice. In my home, the kids are practicing in front of the mirror. We use it for reading and articulation as well. Much quieter and calmer at church, best behavior ever, become more affectionate. I just spoke with his mom yesterday, he's affectionate. He's very interested in personal relationships. They have a few grandkids living in the house, and he's very aware and curious about these relationships. Learning new words and sounds, and he said Bible clearly and repeated it 6 times. Now, Bible was not targeted in his Gemini sessions, so that carryover effect is there, and we're seeing that more and more with other skills as well, gross motor, like you saw with the physical therapist for DeMarcus. Very blessed. 8 weeks, and he started to put 2 words together. More phonetic sounds, Heidi movie, Willie movie. So, and now requesting with 2 words. Really big gains for him. That's David. Now here's Zach, our buddy Zach. So in 2009, when he was 18, he was in a car accident, ejected from an SUV, acquired brain injury, but understands everything going on around him. So really, he does have that receptive language, but cannot walk, talk, or eat. And he was using his foot to communicate, so I'll show you a video about that.
Would you wiggle your foot to tell Matt thank you, Zach?
I'll take a rain check on that.
There you go. Good job. Tell him, say, thanks for running in the marathon for me, buddy. We're very honored. Look up here. We're very honored. But Matt, Zach wiggled his foot to say thank you. Thank you so much.
All right. And then, so we started Gemini with him, and this is him watching the Gemini video for the word mom. His mom really wanted him to say this. So this is an example of him during a Gemini session. Watching it at least 15 minutes a day. Okay. So you get the idea, lots and lots of repetition. So after 1 week, he watches, he seems to like it, been nonverbal. He said mom is clear as a bell, and so proud of himself, grinning ear to ear, and here is an approximation that we caught on video.
Gotta say bye, Mom. Look up here. Look at me. Watch my lips. Can you look? There you go. Bye. Mom. Say bye, Mom. Yeah, you know you want to say it. Very good. I see you trying. Watch my lips one more time. Look. Look at my lips. I'm very proud of you. Hi, Mom. Zachary.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Very, very exciting, and now you can hear how happy mom is. And I keep in touch with her, and she's so blessed. She said that Zach still watches Gemini every day, and his neighbor, who's right next to him in the clinic, is now starting to watch the videos too. So I wanted to see what those outcomes were. So those are some examples of what we've used in the clinic and home-based programs. I'm going to kind of shift over to schools. So just to review a little bit of the research, this is really important. It's dosage, but so the more discrete video modeling, the better. Structured versus incidental. So students in high intensity classes, I'll kind of go through the intensity levels real quick. We saw the best gains when the teacher was most involved, so standing next to the video, acting out the video, targeting during recess and lunch and free time, and so really engaging the students. So that generalization practice, again, that face-to-face interaction, very, very important. This is why we say this complements what we're doing and what we really want to spend our time doing. So the more the better, but it's got to be quality time. Quality that they could watch videos all day long, but if we're not targeting it in the environment, actually, we saw in the low intensity classes that we still saw gains with that. So let me just go through these teaching styles. I put kind of a half hash mark because I say, well, this doesn't work as well as the high intensity, but we did see gains still. So 10 to 15 minutes per day, targets were repeated just 3 times a day, no adult role for these low intensity classes, and only during free time. So here's the classroom. You can see that the kids actually have to walk around to this area in order to see the video. So if the kids were over here, playing over here, and oftentimes when we do have videos playing with the kids on individual sessions, I'll see other kids that will walk over and watch the videos, just initiate on their own. So it's just a half hash mark because it's not as good, but it's better than nothing. So if you can even have it playing on the background, it is much better than nothing. We have seen those gains. For the medium intensity, more targets, 6 to 8, about twice the time. The teacher assisted during circle time only, and then it was played a couple times during the day, and then twice a week during circle time. And then here's this classroom. So a little more exposure, but kids still could go over to the play area, so they were not seeing, when they were over here, they were not able to see those videos. We were seeing a lot of kids going over to that right in front of the screen. So what we really want to see, what I always encourage teachers, and I teach teachers and parents, is this high intensity delivery. 40 minutes per day is really kind of like my prescription. I say, if you can get it 20 minutes twice a day, once before school and then once before they go to bed, 20 minutes each time, that would be great. 3 times a day is ideal. Just like Laura did with her family, 60 minutes total. Targets repeated up to 9 times per day. Teacher assistance was very high. So during those viewing sessions, again, acting out the videos, and then several times throughout the day, they were watching these videos. So high intensity is what we really want to see. And here's an example of the classroom. Really can't get away from viewing it, right? So it's a lot of exposure. You can see the screen is here, and from any point in the room except when they're at the file cabinet, which is really for teachers anyway. Okay, so in my consultation in the school system, I worked in an elementary school class. These are kids with autism and multi-disabilities. 8 students, grades 3 through 5. 4 students were nonverbal. 4 students had pretty extreme self-injurious behavior. On the first day that I showed Gemini in this classroom, one student who was completely nonverbal said bear, like repeatedly after the bear video, and the teacher was saying, what is this? And so new approximations and sounds were observed across 7 of the 8 students. There was only 1 student who did not respond, and that was just after the first day. Very exciting outcomes. With my middle school kid, so I'm brought into some of these cases when the behaviors are so severe that they have to remove the child from the classroom. So this is my buddy in 6th grade, extreme aggression. He actually broke the jaw of his paraeducator, and that's when they called me. And I said, okay, let's get him in a room. He was clearing tables, and he was super destructive to property in the classroom. Every time we brought him a paper pencil task, it was just immediate trigger. So we said, let's get rid of those paper pencil tasks, have him sit down. We had him in a separate environment. We wanted to get him back into the classroom eventually. But what are we going to do? We're going to work on calm behavior. So calm hands, and he was calm. We had lots of reinforcement for him. And then we brought in the iPad, and we didn't want him to destroy it, but he was really wanting that iPad. So we put Gemini on there, and he was doing days of the week, colors. His diagnosis was autism, and he also had severe behavior disorders. So he learned. We were able to target his IEP goals right away in that self-contained setting, and he made those gains. I have a high school student, 18 years old. She had the hardest cow kick I've ever seen. She also engaged in a lot of property destruction in the classroom. Very intelligent girl. She would show that she had some pretty good academic skills. She engaged in headbanging to the point where she got acquired brain injury as a result. And it was against these walls. And so we just set up, we actually had her sit in the corner there. We had these pads along the wall, so it wasn't a fully padded room, but we had her sit on a beanbag, and she would sit there and watch Gemini where we mounted it on the wall. We had it so she couldn't really touch it. And she was engaged. She had her hands like this, and we had advanced vocabulary for her, and she really liked words like berserk and whatnot. And she was really, really engaged, and teachers like, this is how we're going to teach her, is through Gemini. Now she's 19 and done with high school. So here's some do's for video learning time. We want to make sure we have a daily commitment. We want to be consistent with the times that we expose our students. Write it on the calendar, have that. I mean, these are kind of basic things that we do as teachers and parents. And also talking to your child before you're implementing it. We're going to do this every single day, and it's going to be fun. And then you want to reinforce that content. You want to make sure you're sitting alongside with that child, especially the first week. You want to reinforce that. So you're saying the words along with the video. You're giving all those reinforcers, maybe some external reinforcers, lots of attention if that's what your child likes. And then, just making sure that you're reinforcing that right off the bat. And then, of course, outside of sessions, practicing in the natural environment. And so we could do this, like Laura said, go to Target, and you saw the little boy with the apples, really focusing on across settings, programming across settings, the same content. And then also you can start modeling new words, because what we see is a lot of these kids who are watching the discrete video models, they start really looking at your mouth, and they start to move their mouth, and then they start to say new words, just like David said, Bible. And then, of course, just as James and all of us have been talking about, we want to work as a team. We want to make sure everybody knows what's going on. We want to educate, build capacity. Camp counselors, grandparents, get everybody involved. Explain what it is that you're doing, so they're used to seeing this model, and then reinforcing with this team of support. And I have a lot of questions about how do I collect data. I do use the flashcards because I want to see outside. I take a screenshot of the concept or the term, whatever we're teaching, and then I just conduct a quick probe. So that's what I typically do. Mhm.
Now Gemini has printable flashcards, all of our,
Printable flashcards.
you know that?
I didn't. Awesome. Thank you.
Video has a flashcard that goes with it that you can print out.
Thank you. So basically, we obviously want to make sure that we're also collecting data on when a child starts a new diet or a new therapy. And here's an example of a developmental trajectory. So here, the blue line shows the chronological age, and then all of these others are the adaptive skills, receptive language, and expressive language. And here, this child crossed the chronological age after starting discrete video modeling. We also want to have those arrows that say started the specific carbohydrate diet, GFCF, started auditory therapy, started speech therapy, what have you. But very important to have that to guide your decisions about moving forward. We do want to avoid having the expectation of immediate improvements. I get a lot of parents that say, well, I've been using it for 2 weeks. I say, you want to really keep it going, because we don't know what the dosage is for each individual kid. But when the intervention begins, it is important to take notes on progress, because you see other skills develop. So like those attending skills, the motor skills. But really important for us to not expect too much too soon. And then obviously not assume that your child's not learning, because even when we were playing it in those low intensity classes, we still saw gains with these kids with these specific words. All right, I jetted through that to get you guys to lunch. Any questions? And I also can remain here to answer any specific questions. Yes?
When you order Gemini, is the reading program part of what you're paying for?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And the flashcard?
It's all part of it. Yeah, you have full access. Once you're in Gemini, you got full access to everything on there. Mm-hmm.
What about like the upgrade? When you purchase Gemini, do you get like are they?
It's web-based, so everything is upgraded. You'll just get whatever Gemini is the current version every time you log in, right, Laura? Every time you log in.
So like Nora said that they added like the X-ray. Do we get that?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. We say, orient to these new videos, and so we posted on this Facebook site.
That's why it has to be web-based, because we're innovating so constantly. If it were a DVD, you couldn't get updates. So it's web-based. But there is an app that allows you to take the program offline for 2 weeks at a time. So you can download the sessions onto a tablet, take them in the car, take them camping, take them wherever you want. It's really important in third world countries that we're going into. A lot of people that don't have electricity, they can take it out home, do therapy at home, and take it back to school.
Is it tax deductible as a health expense?
People use their tax savings account.
The HSA accounts? Mm-hmm.
And if you buy it, are you buying it by grade level, or are you buying it as
The whole library. All 70,000 videos? When I started using it, what would we have, like 8,000 or something? Unbelievable. 70,000 videos. And we're constantly working on new content.
the cost?
It's $98 a month for unlimited use, and there are generous scholarships. Over 60% of our members are on for a scholarship.
Okay.
And you can apply for a scholarship at the time of registration.
Per child. If you could talk about the use in the mainstream classroom at the elementary level.
Mainstream class.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So usually during computer time, I'm just trying to think of specific examples, because I've had kids that will go into the regular ed classrooms from the special ed, so it's written into their IEP. That's really the only time I've been able to do that. Are you a gen ed teacher?
I'm a parent.
Oh, okay, cool. I would assume that if the school district is adopting it, I would encourage all school districts to use this to teach reading as well. So, yeah, good question. I'm just gonna we'll go back.
Yeah, you talked about language, articulation,
Tomorrow we're having like a 4-hour training on this, interactive training. How many categories are there, Laura? Oh gosh, 30? Oh, I thought more like 100, but okay. Just from, yeah, hopefully we'll be able to come tomorrow. But if you just are able to get into the site and see the number of categories, lots of different categories and age levels.
I was wondering, okay, if you have parents that are not very cooperative, and then you also have a school system that is not very cooperative, and you only have this child for 2.5 hours a day, there is hope with Gemini, right?
So in the low intensity, we still see those gains. Yeah, this is actually with all of my school examples. None of the parents were using it in the home. Well, I'm sorry, one child out of 15 students in these examples was also using it at home, and it was not even consistent. But they were still making gains.
In the research, we could not let the parents use it at home because it would change the
Oh,
data.
right.
We had to measure how many times the kids were getting it. So after the research happened, we let the parents use it. The parents who did start to use it, the kids spiked. So it's still working, but when the parents use it at home, we just see crazy results.
Is there a question over here? Oh, okay, great. You guys all hungry? All right. Well, here's my contact information. If you want to email me, you have any questions, I will get back to you within 24 to 48 hours.
We'll leave that up for a second.
Okay, great.
Thank you, Dr. Gilmour.